preparing the stream. Oh, I need to record this. Let me not forget to do that.
Okay.
Preparing the stream. All right, I am happy to be back on another Tuesday, recording and going live with you, Ms. Sheree, as we talk and continue our conversation about being in the valley of transition, moving from CEO, corporate employee overwhelmed, to CEO, where we're celebrating entrepreneurship overjoyed. I am Janelle Hurst with Legacy Rose Company. I provide short-term rentals in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And I also do accountability coaching for entrepreneurs or employees that want to transition into entrepreneurship, where I share my exact blueprint of the steps I took to transition from a CEO, corporate employee overwhelmed, into an entrepreneur, which is the space I'm operating in today. In this series, we are back with Ms. Sheree Reed, who is the patient care strategist with impeccable patient care. And we are talking about being in the valley of transition, where we discuss some of the experiences, our experiences being in the valley of transition, as we navigate leaving a corporate environment or a work environment into entrepreneurship. So Sheree, go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Awesome. Hi, Janelle. My name is Sheree Reed. I am the patient care strategist. I help healthcare corporations and schools teach quality patient care that is unmatched from alternative strategies and courses. We specialize in creating that field of interpersonal skill sets that is very necessary in the healthcare industry.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome. So happy to have you again as we share some experiences, tips, resources along the road of transitioning from employee to entrepreneur. So today our topic is sacrifice comes before success. Sacrifice comes before success. So on this journey, we have had to make some sacrifices. And we want to talk and share our experience about that with anyone that this can help, hoping to inspire and motivate others that are in this valley thinking of transitioning into entrepreneurship, and kind of giving you a bird's eye view, a peek behind the curtain, if you will, into what this journey entails, some of the things you will encounter, and how to prepare and navigate through that space. So I will start, in the process of transitioning, we talked on our previous segment that it starts with that mindset shift, right? Where you have to make that decision for yourself that this is what I want to do. This is the road that I want to go down. And this is my why. Get clear on your vision, get clear on your goals. And most importantly, your why, because your why is what sustains you through that journey, right? Yeah. But then along that path, once you have made up your mind to do this, there's a shift that starts to happen, in not only in your mindset, but after that, it starts in how you show up in your day-to-day. You need to get more focused on that goal and their action plan to execute that goal. So some of the things I've sacrificed, and I'll share a little bit more, but just to touch on, was time, right? As I was transitioning, this was during a pandemic. I am working full time. I'm a mom of two young girls. I am homeschooling them full time and just dealing with life, being a mom and a wife and homeschool teacher and employee and all of that. So I had to make some adjustments to my time, to how I show up in my marriage, in my parenting, in my home, at work. So that's one of the things, that comes to mind first for me. And one of the things I did to help with that is get laser focus on my schedule, put together a calendar, put together a schedule for myself, and have dedicated blocks of time that I would work on my business, right? Work in my business and work on my business, because it's a difference. There's a difference there. So be clear on what that parameter is that you're going to do in terms of your time commitment to your business without dropping the ball on any of the other commitments. What about you? Have you had to make any sacrifices on your time space?
Of course. Time was a big one for me. It still is. So now in speaking about time, I had to really do some calculations, being in school, working full-time, school full-time, work full-time, and actively working on my health, right? I am now physically active, I meditate, and working on eating right. So there is a lot that I simultaneously put on my plate, and without a schedule, none of it gets done routinely. Okay, none of it.
Mhm.
So I've had to, and this is something that I've struggled with in the past, making a calendar, making a set schedule for myself. And sometimes I still forget to, oh, when things come up, you need to schedule that in. That's not part of the routine here.
Right.
So it's been a lot of adjustments there. So for me, it's making sure that I'm on an alarm first and foremost, because I'm not a morning person.
Mm.
So for me, it's wake up, work out or do a slight workout. I stretch, I do planks in the morning as well, and then I meditate.
Yeah.
And whatever time that is for me, I pretty much go from 15 minutes on up to 35, depending on how early I chose to make things happen. But without that set schedule, it would not take place every morning. And then I have my
Yeah.
my shake, and then I'm preparing for work. And that schedule for me has done tremendous. I mean, because I never was this set routine type of individual. For me, it was, I know what I have to do, just get up and do it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
not that easy when you get in the entrepreneurial world. It is not that easy to, oh, I just know what I'm gonna, something is going to get left out if you leave it to your mind to
Yes.
remember to
Yes.
do things at a certain time. So
And I have to
definitely time
say,
is.
I definitely agree with you there, because I have tried it that way too.
Mhm.
Just jump in. I know what I have to do. I'll just
Right.
get it done.
Yeah.
This is my to-do list for the day. I'll
Mhm.
knock this out.
Yeah.
Even when I first transitioned full-time into entrepreneurship, now I have this entire block of time where work, my 9 to 5 usually took up that space.
Mhm.
Free flowing it, you will leave a lot of
Yeah.
dead time that goes to waste. I
Yeah.
had to get back focused, get on a schedule,
Mhm.
and put things in place. Have dedicated time for waking up, for exercise, for self-care, like you mentioned,
Right.
that working out, eating right, that self-care is so important. And we've talked
Absolutely.
about this on a previous video that we did, right? The self-care aspect
Mhm.
of it. So I love that you mentioned that, because that is definitely something important to bring up.
Mhm.
Another thing, in terms of a tool that you can use, of course, we live in the 21st century where there's an app for everything.
Mhm.
So there are apps. There's, like you mentioned, setting an alarm for things
Mhm.
that you can live by. Those reminders.
Mhm.
You have it pop up on your watch, on your calendar, but also having an accountability partner, having dedicated, this is my goal for today, for the week, for the next 30. I love doing 30, 60, 90-day goals,
Mhm.
right? Where you can chunk it up into those measurable
Right.
attainable,
Yes.
time, space, opportunity, right?
Yes.
That helps. And having an accountability partner to help you along that journey of that 30, 60, 90-day goals and keeping you on track also helps as well.
Definitely, definitely. I think the accountability piece has been necessary, as we've stated before, to make sure you're sticking to your plan and
Absolutely.
not deviating. And if there is a deviation, what was that deviation about? There is from A to Z, what are we doing now to get back on track? So yes, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because life happens and
Yeah.
it's going to happen, right?
Mhm.
So we want to be able to be nimble enough to still accommodate our life. And that's one of the reasons for me going into entrepreneurship. I wanted to have more freedom to have a say so over my life,
Right.
really. So,
Mhm.
and that accountability partner helps you to, once you veer left because
Mhm.
life happened,
Yes.
okay, you've taken care of that item. Let's get
Right.
back on track. Let's
Exactly.
get back on track here. So I love that. Another area of sacrifice, that may come up for 90% of people in this transition journey is finance, right? We, as you're working your 9 to 5 and preparing for this journey to transition, a big part of that is your finances, your budget. How am I going to afford to maintain my lifestyle after I transition? Where's that money coming from? How do I start? And where do I get funding from? And part of that comes into saving, comes into to play. So
Right.
what kind of sacrifices can I make in my budget? How can I tighten things up to put more savings away so that I hit these goals in my timeline of transitioning? So that was another area for me that I had to, look at my budget and be honest and real with myself, have that real talk. Like, what can I actually give up? What can I live without? What are my wants? What are my needs?
Yes,
And what are
definitely.
my non-negotiables?
Hmm. Hmm.
Even though this is a need, this is a want,
Right.
because some of that non-negotiable can come into that self-care, right? If I do
Mhm.
yoga as my exercise, that is an expense. I may not want to give that up because that's a non-negotiable where I maintain my sanity and find my self-care space in this journey, right? What about you? Have you had to
Oh, yeah.
balance on this part for yourself?
Listen, as I've stated before, I have been this head first, all in individual, which to me, again, is a good and a bad thing. And for me, this whole free form, I can figure it out. I'm okay financially, so I can make purchases as needed without a plan. That was my initial um, thought process in it. I'll just get whatever I need when I need it. I'm okay. And then
Mhm.
later, what are you doing? You need to budget, right? Because this entrepreneurial space, if we're being real, it can come and go as far as your clientele. So you want to be prepared as possible to make those transitions to go from one client to the next without feeling financially strained. So you want to do as much prepared work as you possibly can to ensure you're able to get that to the next level without so much headache, without so much stress and
Mhm.
strain on, what's to come, what may come, your emergency fund. Make sure you have that in place because anything could happen outside of your business. So you want to make sure that you're set for a smooth transition no matter what's going to come.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Absolutely. So, and what about personally for you? Did you have to make any personal sacrifices on this journey to entrepreneurship in this valley of transition? I know for me, one of the things, so I set a transition date, right? And that was a pivotal moment for me, is I'm committing to this date. I'm going to transition from corporate America to entrepreneurship. And that really was the pivotal moment that set everything into place, because my project manager hat came on, and now I have this deliverable and I have to set up the steps to hit this deliverable. And once I got to that point, I got laser focused, and I became even more structured in my day-to-day and how I showed up and worked in and on my business. And one of the things I gave up on a personal level was, so I'm a wine lover. I love wine. And I decided to give up wine for 90 days. And this was right after the holidays, after Christmas. We came into New Year, and my coworkers at the time were like questioning what's going on. And, of course, you're working your transition. There's a fine line of what you share and what you don't share. So I gave up alcohol altogether. So wine, liquor, everything for 90 days, just cold turkey. And that was me just taking myself serious and making that commitment to myself that I'm going to sacrifice something I love as I work to this last stretch to my transition date. And that for me was huge. I became even more focused because there was I don't want to say penalty, but there was essentially a penalty tied to my drive, right? Like, I'm sacrificing this so that I can work harder, focus, become even more laser focused on this plan. And I bought myself my favorite bottle of wine so that I can celebrate once transition date hit. And that was like my motivation, right? Sometimes we go on a diet so we can fit into that dress, and we have the dress hanging in the closet as our motivation. That bottle of wine was my motivation. Like, okay, I'm not drinking that tonight. And of course, life happens and you're stressed and all you want is just to sip, just to chill. What about you? Do you have any stories of like personal things you decided to kind of give up in sacrifice on your road to success?
A big one for me, comfort.
Do tell.
Still struggling through that one, right? So, okay, let me give a little background about Sheree Reed. I'm single. I don't have any kids. And I am the baby of the family. So that just sets the tone about.
Yeah. Let's just marinate on that. The baby of the family.
Yes. So, my level of procrastination is sometimes amazing to me, but I still get it done. I still get things done, but my comfortability has been stretched. When you are called to something greater and it's in you, right? You're not going to be okay with anything other. So for me, the comfort of, again, sleeping late, the comfort of, I don't have to do that right now. The comfort of, I can get to, I can take care of this on whenever I get to it type thing. All of that out the window. You said you want entrepreneurship. This is what that is, right? Yes. So I have been stretched with school, work, and focusing on my health. I will look up one day and like, there is a lot going on with me. Like, am I okay to do this daily? Like, this is the change that I need daily? And yes, that answer is yes, a strong yes, because this is what's going to line you up for success, not just in your business, but life. You think about your comfort zone and where that has gotten you. If you want to grow, be prepared to move out of that.
Yes.
Because without moving from that, growth is impossible.
Yep. You
And
have to get comfortable with being
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Mhm.
Exactly. And, we've said it before, but that routine of getting what's next, having that set schedule, that routine. Dr. Jordan Peterson, he's a psychologist, a well-known psychologist now. And he, of course, does multiple studies on this, but without a routine, you're free falling. And if you do not get that routine in place, no matter how well organized you feel like you already are, if without that routine, you struggle getting to the next step, business wise and life wise. And after you start that schedule, it's going to become routine, right? After you get that routine schedule, you're going to wake up. All right, it's time to stretch. It's time to exercise. It's time to meditate. It's time to get your shape and, get prepared, get your shower in, get prepared. Like, it's going to become second nature after a while. So it's the comfort zone can be stretched, and it feels awkward, right? Initially it feels awkward, but know that you have to do this. This is one of those things you have to do to become successful in life and business. So comfort is a huge thing for me. There's days when I'm like, oh my goodness, do I want to do that too today? I mean, am I going to have to do this? Yes, make it happen.
Yes. I love it because that speaks directly to that shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
As an employee, you think and you act and you show up a certain way. Mm-hmm. As an employer, you are the owner, the CEO of your company, of your brand that you're building. You have to shift. You have to become uncomfortable. There's that part of that discomfort where that change is happening and that shift is happening. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable so that you can get to the other side of your goal of becoming a business owner and a CEO of your empire and building that legacy, becoming part of something greater than just a 9-to-5. Yes. So I hope these nuggets inspire someone and educate someone else about thinking that of transitioning into entrepreneurship, of some of the sacrifices that you will be expected, may be expected to make on this journey, and that it is so worth it. It is absolutely worth it on the other side to go from that overwhelmed corporate employee to celebrating entrepreneurship overjoyed on the other side. Not to say that there won't be, tough times in the entrepreneurial lane. And there will be, because you are not going to be an expert on everything. You are not going to be an expert, on the finance and the marketing and all of the roles that you have to play. You'll have to delegate and outsource some of those things. And that will continue to be a challenge as you get your experience around you in those areas. Yes. But it is absolutely, in my opinion, in my experience, worth it on the other side.
Of course.
Yes. So thanks again for tuning in, for listening, as we share our journey, some of the things to expect as you transition into that entrepreneurial lane, some resources, some tools that we have used or found useful as we are in the valley of transition. We will be back next week with additional tips with Ms. Sheree. Stay tuned. Follow us on social media. On myself, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, IG at Legacy Rose Company. And Ms. Sheree, you want to share how others can get in touch with you and ask any additional questions?
Awesome. Yes, I am also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, impeccableptcare.health for my email, or impeccable patient care for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again, and so happy to share this time with you as we share our experience being in the trenches of transitioning into entrepreneurship, in the hopes of motivating, encouraging, and inspiring someone else that's on the verge of transition or in the valley of transition. You can do this.
Yes.
You got this. You can do this. And we are here for you. If you have any questions, concerns, reach out to us on our social media platform or via our email, and we'll be happy to talk with you about what to expect in our journey. Thanks so much. This is
Thank
Janelle
you.
with Legacy Rose.